My name is Jordan and this is Maddie and we are Tangerine Travels.
In case you're new to our channel and you don't really know our story, we are a couple originally from the United States who moved to Mexico about 2 years ago, and we've been living there ever since, creating videos about our life and our travels. But today our travels have taken us to Cusco, Peru. So earlier this year we actually visited Lima, Peru, but this is our very first time in Cusco. So despite all the research and the videos and the blog articles and everything that we read to do research on it, when we arrived here in Cusco, there were quite a few things that shocked us or surprised us or really threw us off. So that's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. Okay, so one of the first things that shocked us when we came to Cusco was that we saw all these gay pride flags everywhere. Like on the buildings, in front of hotels, in the main plaza, Plaza de Armas.
They'd have a Peru flag and a gay pride flag right next to it, and we had no idea that the city was so gay friendly.
I mean, I got here and I was like, wow, I didn't realize that Cusco or even Peru was so liberal. And later we asked a waitress, like, so what is that flag exactly? Well, apparently it's the Cusco flag, and it is a little bit different than the gay pride flag because it has one extra stripe of blue in it. So, silly us, it's not a gay pride flag. It's a Cusco one.
One of the first things we noticed when we got to Cusco is how picturesque the city is. The buildings and the facades and the color contrasts are absolutely gorgeous, pretty much wherever you look.
Before we say this next one, I have to give a little bit of context. So earlier this year when we went to Lima, we did research on the tipping culture because it's different no matter where we go, and it's kind of always a tricky thing to navigate. So we read that it's pretty common to tip about 10%, and then when we mentioned that in a video, tons of people were like, no, like 1 or 2 soles is fine.
And no one really tips here.
Yeah. So then we got here and figured that it would be even less common to tip, but we were surprised to find out that everyone wants a tip for even
everything.
the most strange situations.
Like we went to get more data, or Peruvian data for our cell phone.
Get a phone plan basically for the time that we're here.
We went there, we filled out the forms that we need to fill out, and then when she was done, well, before she was done, she broke your SIM card from Mexico.
She was trying to fit it back into the little card thing, and she takes out a remote and bashes it in, and then a giant piece of the SIM card goes flying. So my SIM card for Mexico is probably broken now and useless. And it was like, ¿qué pasó con la tarjeta? But anyway, at the end, she was still like deep, pointing to her little tip bucket, and it was like,
no, you broke her freaking SIM card, and like, who tips for going to get cell phone service?
She's like, oh, no problema. I was like, first of all, you don't know that. Second of all, in what world is it? I don't know. I don't want to sound like a huge biatch, but like, why would you tip for a situation like that? It seems like they're kind of preying on tourists who don't really know the tipping culture.
Even before she asked for a tip, I pointed to you, or like, look at this tourist trap.
Yeah.
Seeing that tip jar here.
But there's other circumstances where people are wanting a tip as well. Like some of the indigenous women will dress up in the traditional costumes and they'll bring alpacas, and they ask if you want a picture with them, and of course they're going to want a tip for that. But we took a picture with 3 of them, and then this was dumb on our part. Didn't agree on a price beforehand. You should always agree on a tip that you're going to give them ahead of time, because otherwise you're kind of like, you're guilted or like forced into giving what they want.
And she wanted 20 soles. Are you freaking kidding me?
So it was like
to put that in perspective, a 20-minute cab ride here is like 7 soles.
Yeah, so it was like, oh my gosh. And then we're trying to scramble together all the coins. We didn't have enough, and it was like we handed her a US dollar and all the change that we had in soles. But all this to say that we've been very surprised repeatedly by the tipping dynamic and the tipping culture and what exactly it is. I don't really know. So maybe if you do, you can let us know in the comments. And on the topic of alpacas, I've been so pleasantly surprised, like tickled even, that there are alpacas everywhere. The indigenous women will bring them down, and you can hold them and take a picture with them and pet them, but they're so soft. And I'm just filled with delight. They're everywhere, and it's so awesome.
And also on the topic of alpacas, we've seen quite a few menu items that involved alpacas, which we were really surprised to see.
Shocked in the worst way. I think they're so cute. How can you eat something so cute? I know that's hypocritical if you eat like chicken or beef or anything like that that's just the same, but it's like alpacas. They're adorable. They smile. They just sit there and smile all the time. How can you eat them? Okay, coinage. Let's talk about it. This one really surprised me, and I think whenever we go to a new country with a new currency, it always takes some adjustment to figure out what each of the coins are, what the value is, and how that compares to the currencies that we're used to. Now we're used to pesos and US dollar. When we came here, we noticed that the 1 sol is actually bigger than the 5 soles coins. So this really threw us off because in our experience, the bigger the coin or the bigger the bill, the more value it has.
That's how they do it in Mexico. It's all based on size.
Yeah, it's all based on size there. So it's like you could easily think, oh, this is 0.5 soles, but really it's 5. So that's really thrown me off, and we always have to take a little bit of extra time to figure out what we're giving people, what to pay.
We're in the center square of town right now, which is called Plaza de Armas, and we've tended to avoid this part of town because it is absurd how many vendors are here.
And it's a shame too, because I think this is one of the most beautiful, and generally the center square, it has the most beautiful architecture, cathedrals, churches, and that kind of thing,
yeah.
and it really does here. And you have such a pretty view of all the mountains with the houses going up them and everything. But yeah, we are bothered to no end by people wanting money, trying to get us to go on walking tours or excursions and selling different things.
In fact, we're lucky that while the time we're recording this, we haven't been asked.
Maybe that's why they're scared to be on camera or something.
In other parts of the city, this doesn't really seem to be the case. This was our very first experience when we got here, coming right here, because it's generally the first place we visit when we go to a new city.
Yeah, like we kind of try to go to the center and then branch out, work our way out.
I was like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of salespeople here. People want us to buy things all the time. But we get outside of just the center square here, and it almost dissipates to nothing.
Well, and also, don't get us wrong, it's not that we don't want to support vendors or take tours or anything like that, but it's just that there's so much. You can hardly walk 3 steps without someone asking you if you want a massage or to take a walking tour and things, so it's like, you can't just leisurely stroll around without getting all these people kind of harassing you a little bit too much.
One thing that totally shocked me here was how normal it is to consume the coca plant in everyday life. And this is the plant that cocaine is derived from.
We made the mistake of saying in one of our Lima videos that we made that it's the leaves from the cocaine plant, which isn't true, but it's not true either because the coca leaves are made from the coca plant. Cocaine is made from that plant as well. So it's sort of just bypassing part of the description of that, but anyway, we got
like if you said the opium plant, I'm not going to give you shit for saying the opium plant. I know there isn't an opium plant, it's poppies.
But anyway, we got about 45,000 comments on that video telling us exactly how wrong that was. But back to your point, there's coca everything here, and why? Because it helps with altitude sickness, helps you adapt. I've been drinking about 2 cups of coca tea a day, and I think it's really been helping me, but it is everywhere and in many forms.
You can go into a shop and find coca leaves, coca
flour, candies, brownies,
chocolate.
Yeah, everything you could think of. We are not quite done with this video yet, but if you're enjoying it so far, please consider subscribing to our channel to see more travel videos that we create about our life in Mexico and travels across the world.
Back to our Airbnb now and preparing for the 10,000 steps we have to climb up. Like being a street dog in Cusco. Hello.
Jordan, you made a friend.
Okay. Hey, no.
Oh my gosh, that was so cute.
Okay. Hi guys, I was expecting a legit interview with a dog, and then I ended up getting loved to death.
That was so cute.
That was.
Well, that's actually something. Have we even talked about the street dogs yet?
No.
Oh, well, that's something that really surprised me. I did read this before we came, but there's a huge street dog population in Cusco. I mean, there are really so many, but they're a lot bigger than I've seen many street dogs, like many of them, not all of them.
Yeah, this one is one of the smallest ones.
But also, they're super friendly. That's the friendliest one we've ever met.
I don't know, I was walking last night and there was a pack of street dogs eating their pile of garbage.
So sad.
And I think there were 6 of them, and one of the dogs growled at me when I went off.
He was a watchdog, you said.
Yeah, he was a watchdog.
But I mean, that's how they have to survive, and I'm sure they're just like, they're just trying to get a meal. So
this one was pretty friendly.
That was really friendly.
¿De dónde están ustedes? Somos de San Salvador, de su altura,
Distrito San Salvador.
Ah, okay.
Sí.
Gracias, señorita. Oh, so cute. ¿Está bien para la foto? Venga, señorita.
¿La quiere cargar? ¿Con usted más?
Sí, ven, señorita. Jamás.
Así que siéntate, señorita.
¿Cómo se llama?
Se llama Panchita.
Panchita.
Una foto, señorita.
Una foto la puedes cargar ahorita.
So just now with those ladies, this is kind of a perfect example of what we were talking about with the tip. We handed 2.5 soles to them at first, which, I mean, I think is...
And you're like, is this fine for food?
Yeah, I mean, we asked if that was okay and she accepted it.
¿Está bien para la foto? Venga, señorita.
And then afterwards they're like, no, there's 3 people, like give us some more.
Amiga, no nos solamente somos 3 personas.
So, I mean, I give them 2 more soles, but it's like, you definitely end up in like kind of a pressured situation to tip more even when there's kind of like an agreed upon amount. So while we're out of breath trying to hike up these hills, is a great time to mention another thing that really shocked me. Not the fact that it's so high up in altitude, because we've researched that before and we knew, and we took efforts to acclimatize ourselves before with this powder stuff. But once we got here, it was a totally different story. Like, I don't know that there's anything you can do to mentally and physically prepare yourself fully for being this high up in elevation. I remember we were going up like 10 steps of stairs, maybe 15, and after, I swear to goodness, 5 stairs, my muscles felt like I just ran a marathon. I was so out of breath, I thought I was gonna pass out. Like, it was just, I couldn't believe it. I honestly couldn't believe it.
We've gotten much better since, but it's still pretty darn hard.
Yeah, especially up these really big hills like this, and we're not even all the way up yet.
The thing that really surprised us here is how skinny these streets and some of the sidewalks are. Like, I can barely stand on this.
This is 1 foot wide, I think. Some of them are 2 feet if you're lucky. That's like a wide sidewalk here. And the crazier thing to me is that on some of these streets it seemed like no way could a car fit down them. Sometimes 2 cars. It'll be like a 2-way street, so then 1 car will have to pull up on the sidewalk and then they kiss mirrors as they're crossing.
Either that or 1 car has to back up for a block or 2, like this vehicle.
The entire way they would have to back up. It just like blows my mind. These are some talented drivers here, that's all I have to say. So this is where the sidewalks really get skinny.
Stay on the sidewalk.
Here we go, look at this. Now we're here by the Templo de San Blas. Our cab driver who picked us up from the airport told us that this is the oldest temple in the city, and I believe this is also the original plaza.
I think you said the oldest plaza in the city, but I could be wrong about that.
On the topic of cab drivers, taxi drivers, something that surprised us a lot was that Uber is here. And I typically only think about Uber being in larger cities, like Lima, for instance, there's Uber, but this to me is more like a small town. Not small town.
That's what it feels like, but in reality, I think the population's over 400,000, so it is a fairly sizable city.
But I was surprised that there's Uber, pleasantly surprised and glad, because that always removes a lot of like scam potentials, because no matter where we are in the world, cab drivers seem to be the scammiest of people, so if we can just remove that, cut that out of the equation, makes for much more peaceful, nicer days where we don't get like ripped off.
And with Uber, we can get to most places around town for about $2, as long as we're not going to the airport. To and from the airport is way more expensive, like $6. But
20-ish soles. I forgot to mention this when I was talking about hiking up the hills and stuff, probably because I was so out of breath, but one thing that really surprised me was how the city is sort of shaped like a bowl, and I honestly think this probably shouldn't have, but in my mind it was just the altitude that we had to worry about, and acclimatizing to that.
But this totally reminds me of Guanajuato, Mexico. Like that, it's shaped like a bowl and it's pretty high altitude.
Yeah, but so anytime we leave our Airbnb, which is like almost at the very top of where the houses are, it's like we have to be committed to that decision, because once we go down, you have to go all the way back up again.
Una foto, amiga.
One thing that really surprised us about this city is that not only there's a lot of vegetarian and vegan restaurants, but also restaurants that aren't like themed around that also have a lot of vegetarian options. For example, there's this burger place that we went to, and it has 5 different vegetarian burger options. One was quinoa, one was made with red beans, another one was made with lentils, I think, and a few other options. So if you're on a vegetarian or vegan diet, you won't have any problem here in Cusco. So many stairs.
So why don't I give you a little tour of our Airbnb. Here's the dining area and the living room, sort of lounge area. We have 3 big, beautiful windows where we can look out and see this spectacular view of all of Cusco. And you can see kind of how it's shaped like a bowl where the mountains and the houses come down to the city center, which is right there. Here we have a Jordan.
Hola.
He didn't actually come with the Airbnb, he came with me. And here's our kitchen, a stove, and pretty much everything that we could need in a kitchen, which is really nice. Let's go back to the bedroom. Oh wait, hold on, I have to show you these. Does anyone know what this is? Or this? I'll tell you. They're heaters. This is the most interesting heater panel. You turn it on here, and then the whole thing just sort of heats up. But it's like a wooden board. Super interesting. And then we come back through the hallway here into the bedroom. Here's another lounge area with a couch where once again we have this big beautiful window where we can look out and see all of Cusco. Another one here. And then we have the bed, so comfortable, so luxurious. This is a total treat to us because you don't always get like a pillow top, nice bed like this. Inside this door is the bathroom. Nothing too awfully special, except for we do feel lucky that there is tons of hot water, which apparently is not super common throughout Cusco rentals. But yeah, I mean, we can hardly stop staring at this view. It's so pretty. So yeah, this is our rental that we found on Airbnb. We are paying about $55 a night because we got a weekly discount. This is a little bit more than we normally pay, but honestly, this is such a luxurious rental and we feel like the view makes it totally worth it. And this comfy bed, I cannot describe how comfy it is, and it's really nice after long days of travel and hiking up and down these hills to have a comfortable bed to sleep in. And I forgot probably the best part of this entire place. When you walk up these stairs here, it opens up to this upstairs patio balcony area with an even better view of the entire city. It's just unbelievable. We feel so blessed to be staying here. If you're not familiar with Airbnb, you've never signed up, we have a referral link that we'll put down in the description of this video where you can get $40 off your first qualifying stay. So that's like a huge chunk of change back in your pocket. Another thing that really surprised me, which is the weather here. We saw that the forecast for the time that we were gonna be here was between 57 to 63 degrees Fahrenheit during the day. And to me, it doesn't really feel that cool, especially when the sun comes out. It really kind of scorches you. So during the night times, it's been pretty cold, but during the day, the weather was not what I expected.
When we were booking our flights to Cusco from Lima, we had to get round trip tickets. And we both had our VPNs on. You were in Mexico on yours, and I was in like Panama or Colombia. There was $100 difference in ticket prices just by being located in a different country.
We were totally freaking out and geeking out over this because as soon as we realized that having a VPN on and placing ourselves in a different location could get us different prices, we started going like, okay, let's put it in pesos on this one, English on this one,
dollars on this one.
Like we just started playing around with it, and yeah, $100 difference for these tickets. So we wanted to give you a heads up. There is an extended Cyber Monday sale happening, so like the cheapest you will ever be able to buy a VPN probably. Yeah,
we just told you about this sale in our last video, but we just got notified that they're extending it for another week.
So the one we recommend, just go to tangerinevpn.com and it will take you right there where that Cyber Monday sale, the extended one, is happening.
And it's the best price we've seen, so definitely worthwhile.
And this example, this story we told is just one cool thing that you can do with a VPN. There's tons more, like being able to watch Netflix, US Netflix if you're in another country, that kind of thing. So we recommend jumping on that if you're interested, because like we said, lowest price ever.
Another thing that really surprised me is how uniform and like how much all the buildings look alike. You look out here and all the rooftops are the same color of brown.
They are, a lot of them, all white. The sides of the buildings are white, and then you have this, it's not slate, what do you call this? Shingles? It's not shingles either.
Some type of roofing.
Like brick? Shoot, what is this? What are the tiles called? There's a name, there's a type of thing.
It's sort of like shingles, but not really.
But yeah, I think that is surprising. It's not as colorful as like the Guanajuato city that we were comparing it to, but still, I mean, just breathtaking views. And something else that really shocked me was how tranquil and peaceful and also pretty quiet it is here. And part of me wonders, does it feel this way? Do I feel this way while being here because we're so close to Machu Picchu, which is an energy vortex? Or perhaps it's just because we're surrounded by all these beautiful mountains and we're in nature. That could be it too. But certainly comparing it to Lima, Peru, this is, I mean, it's polar opposite. So peaceful and so quiet. It's the anti-Lima in this department.
Yeah, I think that's especially the case when you get up away from the city center to where we're at. It gets much quieter and you can hear all the birds chirping and the wind blowing. Something else that really surprised me about Cusco is people want your passport for everything. We went on an Airbnb experience and he had to take pictures of our passports, of our entry stamp, as well as like the information page.
Same with our Airbnb?
Yeah, same with our Airbnb. And also when we were getting our phone plan, just for a week's worth of data that we weren't going to remove.
That freaked me out because it was like, why would they need that? We're not going to renew this. It was just going to be for the week that we're here.
Yeah,
so,
that was the very first time it happened.
I thought for sure that was a scam of some kind, so that freaked me out.
Asking why they need our passport, they're saying that they have to keep a record of it for, like, to pay taxes or something like that.
Yeah, for the government. They just keep saying for the government and taxes, but it still seems like we're handing over our passport an awful lot, and that's totally freaked me out every single time.
Yeah.
Gracias. Not falling for that again. I really do want pictures with all these alpacas. I don't want to hold all the babies, but every single time we give them a tip and they are never happy with it afterwards, and I'm done being in that awkward situation where they bully me into giving them more tips. Grr. Lucky for me, I am an alpaca now, so I could just take pictures of myself.
You're a llama.
Llama alpaca. The next thing that shocked me, almost literally, was this gigantic storm that happened last night. We're coming into rainy season. Let's get out of the way or we're gonna get hit. We're coming into rainy season now, but this storm was insane. We could see the lightning striking down all through this valley, like between the mountains where all the houses were. It was nuts. And I'm holding the camera out, trying to get a little bit of footage of it, and all of a sudden 3 lightning strikes come down, and simultaneously. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I did get it on camera, and thankfully I didn't drop the camera because it scared the shit out of me. So yeah, almost literally shocked by the lightning. And definitely these storms are insane, and especially the way that the thunder reverberates off all the mountains in this little valley. Yeah,
we can't really say if that's a common thing because it happened last night, and I don't know if it happens all the time. But if that's something that happens all the time, oh my gosh, watch out.
Yeah. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing to our channel and maybe share it with a friend who would be interested in Cusco, Peru as well.
If you would like to see all of our Peru videos, on the end screen we're going to put our Peru playlist, so you can easily watch all those in order. Hey, but before you go, one more thing. Gong that bell. It's no longer peaceful and quiet up here. So that you get notified the next time we put out a new video. And we'll see you soon.